I am pleased to announce the publication, in audio form, of my book, Morbid Reflections. In this work, the following topics are discussed from psychoanalytic, philosophical, and empirical perspectives: sociopathy, pedantry, the nature of bureaucrats, the nature of bureaucratic institutions, rationalization and repression, the relationship between ignorance and mental health, the relationship between ignorance and the ability to act, the relationship between hyper-sapience and the inability to act, the psychological underpinnings of addiction, and finally, the differences between men and women. Please enjoy the following promotional excerpt from the audiobook itself, professionally narrated by Mitchell K. Johnson, and available at audible.com.
Two kinds of heroin addicts. There are two reasons why people do heroin. 1, to stomp the pain. 2, to fill a void. And there are two kinds of heroin addicts. Type 1 addicts, those who use heroin to stomp the pain. Type 2 addicts, those who use heroin to fill a void. There is hope for type 1 addicts. They have a reason to stop. Therefore, they can stop. There is no hope for type 2 addicts. They have no reason to stop. Therefore, they won't stop. Let Brown be an arbitrary type 2 addict. The question, does Brown have the willpower to stop using, is misconceived. By supposition, heroin is the best thing that Brown has. Brown, therefore, has no reason to stop. Whatever willpower Brown might have, Brown has no reason to press it into the service of an intention on his part to stop using. Brown probably doesn't have much willpower. By supposition, there is a void in Brown's personality that he is using heroin to fill. Therefore, Brown's character is defective. Therefore, he lacks willpower. But Brown's lack of willpower isn't the cause of his addiction. Brown's personality architecture has a defect in it. Brown's addiction is one expression of that fact. Brown's lack of willpower is another expression of that same fact. Neither is the cause of the other. When asked, why does Brown use? The obvious thing to say is, because Brown has no willpower. This is the wrong answer, as we just saw. But there are several reasons why it might seem to be the right one. First of all, Brown really does lack willpower. If he were a determined person, he probably wouldn't have become an addict to begin with. And supposing that he had become one, he wouldn't have remained one for long. Second, even though Brown's lack of willpower isn't the cause of his addiction or of X's failure to end his addiction, there is a causal relationship between the two. In fact, there are two respects in which they are causally related. First, Brown's lack of willpower and his addiction are both symptomatic expressions of some underlying morbidity. They are comorbid. Second, Brown's addiction has inevitably eaten into what little willpower Brown had to begin with. Given that there are two distinct respects in which Brown's weak will is causally linked with his addiction, it is only natural to believe the former to be the cause of the latter. But it's the other way around. It isn't because Brown has a weak will that he's an addict. It's because he's an addict that he has a weak will. Brown is a type 2. A type 2 isn't somebody who can't stop using. A type 2 is somebody who won't stop using. The reason a type 2 won't stop using is that he has a good reason to use. And the reason he has a good reason to use is that there is a void in his character which heroin use fills. That void has always been there. That void is what drew him to heroin in the first place. That void is what makes him an addict. His biochemical dependence on heroin or any other substance is only an expression of that emptiness. It's because of that emptiness that he's come to be biochemically dependent on heroin. It's because of that emptiness that he's drawn to heroin. It's because of that emptiness that he's an addict. It's that emptiness that makes him an addict. That emptiness was there before he used heroin. That emptiness has always been there. That's why he uses. Therefore, he's always been an addict. With type 2s, the addiction precedes the biochemical dependence. With type 2s, consequently, addiction and dependence are different things. With type 1 addicts, they're the same thing.